When you prepare for the interview, the first thing is that don't give in to pressure. These guys work on deadlines. They want fast turnaround time. They want quick answers. I mean, you're in charge. You're in control. It's your interview. The worst that's going to happen, they will say, oh, I'm so sorry. I really need something right now, but maybe some other time. Sometimes that's better than getting sucked into an interview. Take the time. You need an hour and a half, depending on their deadline. You can get an hour, negotiate an hour to really get your information together. You may want to revise your facts, find out what happened since the last time you look at some of those issues to make sure that you're current in your information. You also have to realize, what am I an expert in? And this is the fine line. You have to be very careful because your position on that particular aspect will have an impact on who you will be as a media figure later on. Are you going to be a commentator or with all sorts of opinion, or are you going to be a researcher with an expertise? Which one do you want to be known for? That's very, very important, especially for a young researcher. So always be careful about this. Offering background information is always a good thing. As you go on with your research career, most of you will have your own website describing your most current research, your projects, your collaborations. So it's always a good thing to have. You may even plan for that. Have an abstract in plain language explaining what your research is all about. Always maintain something current. So that's a nice way to convey information to the lay public about what you're doing, and they say, okay, I get it. You can also put a couple of questions there about your research to help them focus, a journalist. And you could also try to articulate some of the benefits of your research and that kind of abstract. You also need to set a time for the interview. Generally speaking, an hour is a good time. That should give you enough time to prepare. Unless you are really stuck doing something else, it's possible. Keep in mind the media cycle. They need to be filing their stories by late afternoon, so that means after 3 o'clock, most journalists are writing. So if you say, oh, late in the day, 5 o'clock, that won't work. The best time is late morning, early afternoon. You want to make the news, you have to determine a few things. What you want to say, what's your key message? You want to avoid too many details, long list of facts, description of the research process itself. That's not interesting. You want to focus on what's important. Essentially, from a media perspective, it's your conclusions and how they affect people. What do we learn out of those conclusions? You always start with that. How is it making a difference for people? The best way to look at it, really, as I tell researchers, is always start with your conclusions, support it with a little bit of facts and data, and then let them come back with questions. Trust me, journalists are smart people, and they will ask you questions. When you do broadcast media, the quotable clip is the most important thing. You have to speak in 12 to 15 seconds, 1 or 2 sentences. You really have to grab people's attention, get their imagination. You have to show passion for the issue. You have to be direct, and essentially that should be the basis for your own personal elevator speech.